Hello, hello, welcome. Welcome everyone to the Black History Month launch 2024. If we can take a moment to reflect on the land acknowledgement. We will start the land acknowledgement. Thank you. The Caribbean Canadian Association of Waterloo Region is situated on the lands within the Haldeman Treaty of 1784, a formally ratified agreement acknowledging 6 miles on either side of the Grand River as treaty territory belonging to 6 nations of the Grand River. The CCAWR serves a region that is located within the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Shonotan, and Haudenosaunee peoples. This territory is within the lands protected by the dish with 1 spoon wampum. We acknowledge the enduring presence, knowledges, and philosophies of Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge the continuing accomplishments and contributions Indigenous peoples make in shaping Waterloo Region. We are committed to understanding the impact of settler colonialism on the Indigenous experience in order to envision and co-create collaborative, respectful paths together in mutuality and reciprocity. Thank you. So I'm just going to scan the room. Is Marsha here? I know she's coming from out of town. That's okay. Darren will do this for us now. Thank you, Darren.
The CCAWR acknowledges all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who come here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of transatlantic slave trade and slavery. We pay tribute to those ancestors of African origin and descent. So we'd like to welcome all of you to CCAWR's 2024 Black History Month launch. Are you happy to be here? Yeah. Feedback, I think, it's just the power of the voice, the excitement that's about to happen. Feedback, love it. All right, so thank you for joining us to celebrate Black History Month, Black History, Black Heritage, and Black Future. I am Darren James, and
hi, I'm Anandi Carol Woolery, and we will be your MCs for today. It's our pleasure.
Yes, happy to be here.
Joining us here at the front of the main stage is Peggy Zaire. Peggy is an ASL interpreter, and if you require interpretation services today, please just approach us, can assist you. All right, so thank you for joining us today, Peggy. At this time, we will stand for the singing of O Canada, and we'll give Nathan Haynes a minute to come up and lead us in the anthem.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Nathan, for sharing your talents and starting this event, a wonderful start. So as we get into our welcomes here, it was very informal, but usually we like to acknowledge those who, everybody is busy, but especially so though our elected officials. And it was a very informal as to who was coming. So I am going to do a roll call. It's like back in school, and if I say your name, you have to say present, miss, right?
Where are you?
Where are you? So we're going to start with the federal level. Are there any federal MPs with us today? Mike Morris, I see you. I see Mike Morris. All right. Kitchener Center.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
It's Kitchener, right? I know. Okay. Anybody else for federal? Wait.
Valerie.
Valerie! All right. Then. Valerie says, this is Valerie Radford from the MP for this area, and she's enjoying the Caribbean weather. Thank you for bringing it.
Thank you.
This is your tax dollars at work. Thank you for bringing the weather. Yes. All right. So thank you for coming today. Anybody else? Federal? Going, gone. I'm gonna tell you, boss. It's okay. All right. So next up, provincial. Anyone from the provincial level elected officials? All right, they come in. All right. When they come, we'll say hi. Municipal. Anybody from the region here? Somebody put up their hand and put it down. Region. Colleen coming later.
No.
She ain't coming?
She ain't coming.
Oh gosh, but I wanted her to come.
She's
okay.
traveling.
Okay. Region. No, okay, that's all right. I know they sent their best wishes. They are traveling. As well now we have...
Cities.
City?
I
Who
thought I
here?
saw- oh,
Who here?
Dave.
Hi, Dave. Hello, Dave. What's Dave's last name?
Snyder.
Oh, it's Dave Schneider. Hello, Dave. City...
All right, just making sure.
City Councillor?
City Councillor.
All right, excellent. Anybody else from City of Kitchener or City of Waterloo, City of Cambridge, Guelph, Townships, all of them? All right. I know they're on their way. It's going to be a long day and we have our commitments. But thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us today. And I hope you have fun. Darren, you are next, I think.
So let me tell you one thing. We're nothing without the people who sponsor us. So we like to give a thanks to Canada Heritage. We'd also like to a clap for Canada Heritage. Why? We can't just be like this. And also a sponsor and present, we like to give thanks to the Waterloo Regional Police Service, the Waterloo Region Association of Realtors, the Region of Waterloo, the City of Kitchener, and the City of Waterloo. Thank you. And as we know, we're nothing without our sponsors.
So the next item on our wonderful program today is a keynote speaker, and he will be joining us virtually, and his name is Mark Lafleur, and he's an entrepreneur. He's a fantastic speaker. You don't want to miss that. So we will be live streaming. It will be on this TV here, so please.
And in the theater.
Oh, and in the theater too.
Yes.
So please, go ahead and browse and do what you have to. Please enjoy what is out here. Sign up for the science or for the workshops, and be back here. We'll call you back in time for the start of the keynote speaker. So thank you. Give yourselves a hand, and thank you for coming. We'll see you soon.
Okay, everybody. So look, I'm really excited to be here today. I think you guys might have just gotten a quick introduction about what I've done and some of the things I've accomplished, but I always like to say introductions like that always do a great job of talking about the things that I've done, but it doesn't really talk about who I actually am. So I think before getting started, it's important that I give you guys a better understanding of what I stand for and where I've come from, essentially. So the reality is I'm a homeschooled kid. I'm someone who didn't get to interact with society until grade 8, when you really think about it. And as you can imagine, spending your entire childhood growing up at home, when you get into school at grade 8, it's hard to fit in. So I come from a world where I didn't even think that I could even be liked, let alone be a leader. And despite being the homeschool kid, I'm the kid who ended up growing a 60-person company built on culture and community. On top of that, I was the kid who wasn't a really good student. I was always in and out of detention. So whether it be that I didn't get to go to school for a long time or I couldn't fit in, I was always struggling. Teachers were always telling me that I wasn't going to make it. I was pretty much failing out in grade 9 and 10. So I was the bad student. But I was the bad student who ended up getting a book deal with Forbes and writing the Amazon bestseller, True Founder. I'm also the kid who was ashamed to take his shirt off at the pool. I was the kid that anytime we ever got the opportunity to go to the beach, I would have to think twice because I thought everyone would look at me because I was the fat kid. So I was the fat kid who's about 6 months away from running a sub 3-hour marathon right now. I'm also the kid who never had a car growing up. You know, I was the kid who had to take the bus. And for anybody out there who's ever had to take the bus, you know, if it's something you don't want to do, it's something you're forced to do, it sucks. You miss the bus, you got to wait another 30 minutes in the cold. I was always bugging friends and family for a ride. So I was the kid who didn't have a car growing up. But last year, I did 6 professional sports car races in a Mercedes AMG GT4. And I think at the end of the day, most importantly, especially for our community, I'm just that black kid. I'm just that black kid who ended up on the cover of the Globe and Mail for building a $20 million company. So I've done a lot of things and there are a lot of accomplishments we can talk about, but until you know where I really come from, you can never know what I stand for. So I always like to get that out of the way with first. So now that we've got that done, I want to acknowledge all of you. I always say these virtual keynotes, the number one issue that I have is that I can't see you. So I'm really talking to a screen right now. I really wish I could have been there. I'm in Austin, Texas right now, but thankfully with technology, I'm still able to talk to you guys. But I want to acknowledge all of you because at the end of the day, I actually didn't get to spend a lot of time in our community for the past few years. For any founders out there, any entrepreneurs, you know what it's like to be building a company. That's all that matters. You know, I didn't have time to focus on anything else. I couldn't look around and see what was going on. So one of the things I got neglected was giving back to the community. But ever since True Local sold, over the past couple of years, I've finally had time to lean in and I've been spending time with the community. I've been doing events. I've been doing keynotes. I've been talking to the people. I've been working with the leaders in the space. And I can firsthand tell you that there is a ridiculous amount of momentum coming and it's amazing to see. So the reason I'm saying this is because for all of you to have taken time out on your Saturday to come to this event and connect with people, you're all doing your part. So I want to go ahead and also kick off and let everybody know that I'm a ranter. I'm a talker. I could go on forever. But at the end of the day, this is a keynote. So I got to choose my words wisely. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. So there are 3 things that I want you guys to take away from hearing me talk today. And I don't take this responsibility lightly. You have an amazing program set out today for you guys. I've seen it. I've talked to the people. I know a lot of the vendors. I know a lot of the speakers in the events. It's going to be a fantastic day. So I have the responsibility of kicking it off and trying to inspire you guys to be better so that when you leave today, you have something to take away. So the 3 things that I want to leave you guys with are number 1, life is not fair. It's a hard truth. It sucks to hear, but it's the reality. And the truth is we have to accept this reality because if we don't accept this reality, we will always spend our lives being a victim. So that's number 1. Number 2 is realizing that the faster that you understand that life isn't fair and the faster that you understand that we as Black people are going to struggle more than most, that's the moment that you can start using it as a strength. So the faster you can accept that life isn't fair, the faster you can turn it into a strength. And number 3, I'm a founder and an entrepreneur. For me, when I go and do talks, it's great to hear stories, but I do want to hear tactical, actionable advice. So I want to give you guys a couple rules that I like to live life by and a couple things that I get asked a lot that I think might help any future entrepreneurs in the group. All right. So number 1, life isn't fair. Look, it sucks to hear this. Okay. And it's not to say that life shouldn't be fair, but it's not, and it's not going to change anytime soon. You know, the idea of a world where everybody has equal access and equal rights is a beautiful thing to think about. It's a beautiful thing to fantasize, and it's absolutely something that we should work towards. But if you are living your life and you feel upset or you feel hard done by because life isn't fair, and you feel as though that the only way to get out of this is once the world does become fair, you are going to spend the most of your life being a victim because this is not going to change anytime soon. It's not going to change in a month. It's not going to change next year. We'll be fortunate if we see change in 5 years. And I know that everybody wants to push this forward and it's something that should change and it needs to change. But once again, life isn't fair. So I want to give you guys a different way to look at this. I want to make it so that you guys can own this rather than be crippled by it. So we can all understand that life isn't fair. We are going to have a harder life than most. We all understand also that North America, and particularly Canada, isn't really built for minorities. You know, it would be amazing if the streets and the transportation and the education system and the finance system was built with people like us in mind. But the reality is it isn't. And like I've been saying this whole time, it's not going to change anytime soon. So what does that mean? That means that Black people are going to face a more challenging life than people who come from privilege. I'm sure all of you have experienced this. All of you know this. From the time we enter society, we are going to have to work harder than people who have doors open for them. It's apparent in every aspect of our lives. We all have individual stories. You know, whether it's something like trying to make friends, you know, at a young age, just having to put yourself out there more. Because usually when you walk into a room, the first thing that we do is look for people that look like us. And of course, that's few and far between, especially as you work your way up the corporate ladder or go into more areas that have less minorities. So right off the bat, when you walk into a room, it's harder to make friends. You have to put yourself out there. Go and talk to groups of people that don't look like you. Open yourself up to more rejection. You know, that's just one example of having to put yourself out there. Another example would be the idea of getting a job. We've all had this scenario, and yes, things are changing, of course, but a lot of us are victim of not even getting a call back because people can't even pronounce our names because we come from a different culture or a different place. Now, look, the reality is my name is Mark Lafleur, and I talk whiter than most of my white friends. So I did dodge that bullet, but I can give you guys a personal story. And I don't give too many personal stories very often. The reason being is that my life has been very smooth in the grand scheme of what a lot of our brothers and sisters are dealing with. You know, I've had a couple headaches here and there. I was an outcast as a kid. You know, I've gotten made fun of for being Black, but at the end of the day, I've never been a victim of racial violence like most of us have. And a lot of people experience this stuff. So I don't like talking about my personal experiences because most people are dealing with harder stuff than I am. But I do think for the purposes of this, and speaking from a founder perspective and an entrepreneur, there are a couple things that might resonate here. So number one is, I'll give you guys a really weird feeling. The idea of being the only Black kid in your high school. So that was me. I grew up in a small town called Cornwall. You know, we actually have a place back there now. And there's about 60,000 people in Cornwall. And in grade 9 and 10, I was the only Black kid in my school. So that is a really, really weird feeling, especially coming straight out of homeschooling and going back into the school system in grade 8. So one of the greatest things that ever happened to me was being homeschooled. I learned so much, but everything's a pendulum. You get things, you lose things. And one of the things I lost was this ability of socializing normally. So I was the only Black kid in my high school in grade 9 and 10. And on top of that, I was just a bad student. So needless to say, my entire high school career was a struggle. Every single thing that I ever wanted, every single day that I would go to school was a battle. Nothing was ever handed to me. I had to take everything. And it's crazy when you think that a lot of people think about taking things and winning things and getting what's yours as the big things. And yeah, we always want to go ahead and identify the big wins. I took that victory. I took that job. You know, I took this. But what people don't like to talk about it is when it happens in the small things, when every single thing you have to deal with is you got to fight for it. You got to earn it. You know, I can give you a ton of personal examples. You know, imagine just wanting to fit in, wanting to get invited to the parties. You know, I didn't get to go up to the cool kids in grade 9 and 10 and get the party invite, right? And for some of you, this is what it was like for me. I would much rather be at the party and stand in the corner by myself than not be at the party at all. So every single time there was an event or a gathering or something going on, it didn't matter if we were going to Galaxy and the whole school would go on the cheap Tuesday. We had a local hockey team that we would go see and all the different schools would show up. I never got an invite. I had to problem solve my way into these situations all the time. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you think about how that changes someone's experience of life, go on to the next thing. You know, I was always in trouble. So I always had to talk my way out of things. You know, every single time I would get in trouble, it ended up being a negotiation as to why I shouldn't be in trouble or why that 5-day detention should only be a 1-day detention or why that suspension should only be a detention. You know, I would literally reach for the stars and come up with any reason as to why I shouldn't be getting in trouble. I became an expert negotiator. And then finally, in grade 11 and 12, when things started to turn around for me, and I finally did start getting invited to the parties, I always say my friends, they adopted me. And it took a long time, but I'm very fortunate. And it got to a point where the teacher started coming around too and realizing, hey, you know what? Mark's starting to change his life. Let's support him a little bit. But at the same time, I had a reputation. So every time I wanted to do the positive things, when I wanted to play on a sports team, when I wanted to go to the pep rallies, I had to sell why I should be able to do that. That was something that I had to put a sales pitch forward to reason with people and explain to them why I deserve to be there. And that was just life. It was challenges. It was no all the time. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not saying that all of these no's and these little micro challenges and all this type of stuff was exclusively because I was Black. But that played a role. And the fact that I was a bad student and whatever the mishmash of reasons, it made it so that I was experiencing more no's than most. So I used to hate that. I actually used to be really, really mad about it all the time. My life was harder than my friends when I would see that every single door was open for them, right? And when you take that into perspective, like a good way to look at it is like you're just driving down the street and your buddy is hitting every single green light after green light after green light after green light, door open after door open after door open, to the point where when you're driving down, hitting every single green, you don't even realize that you're winning. You don't even realize that it's something that's awesome. You're just driving down your day versus somebody in the exact same situation hitting every single red light. And look, this is the whole point of it. It's not a big deal. You hit a red light, who cares? You hit on the brakes a little bit, you stop, but it makes you pause. It stops your momentum. It's something you have to think about dealing with. You have to plan in advance, knowing that I'm going to hit red lights here, I'm going to hit red lights there. It shifts your perspective completely. So the way I used to look at it is I used to hate the fact that I didn't have these doors open. I didn't hit these green lights. And it was horrible. And anybody who's been experiencing this knows, and I know all of you guys have experienced this, knows that it's a horrible feeling being told no. However, I want to give you guys an idea to think about. It's also kind of horrible, like training for a marathon. So let's use an example of something that I'm doing personally. Marathon training sucks, but why do we do it? The thing about marathon training is, unlike any other sport, it is all just about repetition. It's literally a volume game. How many kilometers can you get? Because as you get more kilometers, you become a better runner. Every single step you take becomes better because you're putting in the reps. It sucks. People just want to go run marathons. Nobody wants to do the training. Well, if you look at it, dealing with no's is kind of like the training of life. It's horrible. It sucks. You don't want to deal with it. You just want to get to the big final thing where you get to go ahead and do the big sales pitch or do the big investor meeting and have that no be the one big thing you deal with. Just like we all want to go run marathons, but we don't want to do the training. Well, what's more horrible than having to deal with the training is imagine one day you woke up and someone told you in 10 minutes, you're at the starting line for a marathon and you've never done any training. So imagine you're in this big meeting one day and you have your entire life, every single door has been open for you and you've had no training with dealing with no's. Well, that's kind of the thing to look at right now when you're thinking about how difficult, how much more challenging life is. And it's a way to take ownership and it's a way to take these disadvantages that we have to face and turn it into a strength. Now, anybody who knows me knows I love business. I love entrepreneurship. I love being a founder. And it's not for the reasons that you think. The wins are amazing. And I highly encourage everybody to find some sort of excitement and motivation through the wins of business. But the reason I love business so much is, for me, business is a metaphor for life. It is the only thing that we can do, because if you live in North America, no matter how down and bad you are, it's way better than 300 years ago. We do not have to worry about eating every single day. We do not have to worry about a roof on our head every single day. In most locations, even in the worst scenario, there are options. That wasn't the case 300 years ago. We didn't have those life or death situations. And I truly believe that business is the only thing that you can do that puts you in those scenarios where you have to be the best version of yourself day in and day out to succeed. It's also one of these things that it will give you life experiences. It'll give you an entire lifetime of experience and knowledge compressed into a very short period of time. To me, starting a business is really living, choosing to live life on the edge, choosing to take risks. And like I just said, if you want to succeed in business, here's a pro tip. It's just a war of attrition. It's who can survive the longest. Most businesses aren't killed by competitors. Most businesses are killed because founders give up. So if business takes a long time to be successful, why do you have to be the best version of yourself? Because it is so hard and you are going to deal with so many no's that if you are not in tip-top shape, and I don't mean physically, I mean holistically, mind, body, soul, if you are not at 100% as often as possible, you will not be able to deal with all of the no's that you have coming your way. And look, I get it. Some of you guys are sitting there saying, well, Mark, my buddy Philip, he got all the meetings with the best venture capitalists and investors, or he got the job interview, or he got to sit in the place that I wanted to sit. And yeah, that's beautiful. Philip's dad got to open all the doors and made all the introductions, and that's a cute tale. And that's usually what happens for most people who come from privilege. But what I promise you is in business, there will come a day where Philip runs into a no that nobody will be able to help him with. And if he's had every single door open for him on a silver platter, he will not be capable to deal with that no. So I'm assuming that you guys are realizing here, but no isn't just somebody saying no to you. No is a metaphor for all the challenges you're going to face in life. No could be an investor turning you down. No could also be running a food company and having your freezers go down with $100,000 of perishable product and nobody to come help you fix it because it's a long weekend. No's are just challenges that you're going to deal with. But if you've spent your entire life dealing with no's, it just becomes a way of life. It doesn't rattle you the same way someone who's been handed everything on a silver spoon. You've been training for this. We're built for this. And I'll tell you right now that for myself personally, and anybody that I would ever bet on, I would most certainly bet on the person who does a better job dealing with no's than the person who's done a great job of avoiding no's their whole life. So I want you guys to think on that for a minute. So like I said, I'm a ranter. I could go on here forever. I think I'm already running out of time. So I want to rapid fire you some quick, tangible pieces of advice. As a founder, I judge every single talk that I go to by what can I go and do today? The stories are great. The high level thinking is great. The mindset stuff is great. But I want to give you guys just a quick little rapid fire thing that I find really important. So number one is something that I get asked all the time. I have so many people that come to me and say they want to start companies. And of course, I start talking to them and I peel back the layers. And, we're peeling back the layers of the onion. And eventually they say, I really have all these business ideas, but I don't know what I want to do. I want to do something that makes money, but I want to do something that makes me happy. I want to be passionate about it. And I stop them right there. I say, listen, here's the truth. The reality is this: you're being greedy. You just said it yourself. You want to make money and you want to be happy. The reality is that most businesses that have a strong chance of being successful from a financial perspective suck. They're boring. They're lame. They're not exciting businesses. Okay. These are the businesses that just solve problems directly. Find any problem, go ahead and solve it. Doesn't matter what industry it's in. I sold meat online for 5 years. I didn't even know the different cuts of steak before I started doing that. But the businesses that make money tend to not be very exciting and not really fulfill your passion. And on the flip side, the unfortunate thing and the unfortunate reality is that most businesses that do make money, most businesses that do make you happy don't tend to make a lot of money. Now, look, there is an overlap. There are some people who can build wealth by doing something they love. And if you're on that road, I highly recommend you stay there. However, that is like playing the lottery. Those come very few and far between. So when people ask me, what business should I do? I'm stuck in this, I can't make a decision. I say, well, first, what you got to do is figure out, what do you want to prioritize? Do you want to prioritize your day-to-day happiness, or do you want to prioritize your long-term happiness? And the easiest way to look at it is like this. What do you care more about? Do you care about the nice things, the freedom, the not having to answer for a boss? In 5 years from now, will that be what gives you a sense of happiness and fulfillment in exchange for being miserable each and every single day? Every single day, you're not doing something you love, you hate it, you got to get through it, you're solving problems you don't want to solve, but you know that you're willing to do it because what will make you truly happy, or what will give you a sense of fulfillment, is freedom, true freedom down the line. The freedom to buy what you want, the freedom to travel where you want, the freedom to not have to live by anybody else's rules. Is that important to you? Or is what's important to you being happy on a day-to-day basis? There's no right or wrong answer to this, by the way. That's the best part. If you care about waking up and being genuinely happy, doing something that is, whether it's easy or hard, but something you want to be doing, and you don't get your happiness from freedom in the future, you're just happy, maybe being stressed financially, maybe you won't have this freedom to go and live and buy whatever you want, but you're happy because you're doing what you love every day, then do that. The answer of what you should do from a business perspective becomes very easy when you're honest with yourself and decide, do you want money and freedom, or do you want day-to-day happiness? Because then it becomes very easy to figure out what business you should do. If you want money and freedom, just solve the most immediate high-value problem, regardless of the industry, and just get after that. Stop thinking about trying to lay on something that makes you happy on top of it. And on the flip side, if you just want to be happy day to day, go get a job in whatever field you want, or go start a business in whatever field you want. Go be a scuba instructor in the Bahamas. Go do anything you want that makes you happy, but stop trying to overlay the money side to it. So that's a really easy way to kind of think about getting started. Number two is something I'm dealing with right now personally, and I want to leave this with you guys, but it's the idea of going 100% in on things, okay? We do not cherish and reward hard work enough anymore. And the reason I'm telling you this is because it'll do two things for you. Number one, by going all in on everything you do, 100%, I don't care if it's writing an essay or pitching investors, the smallest things are the biggest things. Going all in at 100% will actually help reduce the stupid things that you do, the things that you don't really want to be doing, but you're just saying yes to, that fill up your time and take away from the things you should be giving 100% towards. Because if you make the commitment that everything you do is going to be at 100%, you become very honest with yourself when you realize you can only do a few things at 100%. So that's number one. Number two is it's a skill. Everybody only focuses on the potential outcome or the result as the determining factor as to whether or not they should give 100% to something. Oh, you know what? This is just me going ahead and serving coffee. I'm a barista and I'm serving this coffee. The result, person gets coffee, isn't that big of a deal. I'm not going to try that hard, whatever. Versus, okay, you know what? Last play of the game, I got to go all in on this. I'm going to go ahead and give it 100% because the result is huge. The issue with that is that giving 100% is agnostic of the result. It's a skill. Giving 100%, getting your mind in the space of, okay, I'm going to go all in on this. So yes, there's obviously value in going all in on the big things. But the reality is when you do go all in on the big things, if you haven't had practice going all in general, often, caring often, having that sense of, I'm going to do this to the best of my ability very often, then you're undertrained. Just like if you haven't had a life filled with no's. So anything that you're doing, if you're going to serve that coffee, do it well, take pride in it. The individual won't even care. They'll drink it down and maybe tip you, maybe not. But you have that pride of doing it at a high level. So that's number two, okay? Number three, look, this one I think is very important for our community, but some people might disagree with it. We need to stop virtue signaling. As a group, as a collective, as Black individuals, we need to stop virtue signaling, okay? I'll give you a perfect example here. Too many times I see us receiving these opportunities and standing on our soapbox and being like, I don't want it. You shouldn't do it. Affirmative action. It was a handout. They're doing it because we're Black. You may very well be right. But the example is I was just in this executive level training program. I was very fortunate to be a part of it. It was set up exclusively to help Black executives gain the experience and knowledge to fast track them into publicly traded board seats. A fantastic program given by one of the top tier organizations in the country. So I was sitting with my peers. There's about 10 to 15 of us, all seasoned executives. I was by far the youngest. So I really just planned on being a fly on the wall and listening. And the joke about this entire thing was that it was given by a white man. However, I'm sitting here so excited. I'm like, yo, they have literally put this program together for us to give us a chance. This is something that finally I have a better chance of getting into and succeeding from than anybody else. So I'm ready to take my notes. And for the first 15 minutes, I watched my peers rip up this instructor, this white dude, on why he should be the one teaching it, because how could he ever relate to our struggle? And continue on to explain what are you doing to help systemically change things? For 15 minutes, they ripped this guy up. We could have been learning. We could have been understanding. They were handing us the keys to better our situation. And yes, absolutely, they were doing it through affirmative action. Absolutely, they were doing it because they wanted to hit that checkbox. But we can't pick and choose here, people. We can't get mad that we don't have opportunity and then get mad that the opportunities are too easy. So I sat down and said, guys, what are you talking about here? We have an hour with this individual. How do we want to leave this? Do we want to leave with knowledge and have this individual be like, damn, we gave these guys one chance and they wowed us. They were right. Absolutely deserve to be here. Absolutely are bringing value and perspective. Or do you want them to leave to be like, wow, that was a huge mistake. They didn't even appreciate it. They didn't get anything. There was no value out of this whatsoever. And we've set ourselves back again. So it doesn't matter the reasoning why. You don't think for a second that I had people comment when I was on the cover of the Globe and Mail? Convenient timing. Black Lives Matter. Good time to be on the cover. Even if, which I don't think was the case, but even if they had come to me and say, hey, listen, we got to put a black guy on the cover. Are you okay being that person? I would have taken that in a heartbeat and wouldn't have thought twice, because do you know the power that came with that? I talk about it 4 years later, the cover of the Globe and Mail. I think I was one of 2 people to be on the cover of the Globe and Mail. So it doesn't matter where these opportunities come from. It doesn't matter if they're handed to us or if we have to fight for them. An opportunity is an opportunity. It's not about the opportunity. It's about what the opportunity does for you to get yourself further. The opportunity is just a stage to give you guys a bigger platform. And then what you do with that platform, what you do when you're in that position of power is what matters. So I just implore everybody here to give up on the virtue signaling of I'm only going to do the hard way or do this. If you have an opportunity, it doesn't matter where it came from. Take that out of it. Take that opportunity, run with it, because you will be in a better position and you can give it back to the community. And that leads to my final point, which is this idea of lift up, tap in, and give back. So the whole idea here is tap into the community, okay? You have such a powerful group of people standing right beside you right now. We should always be tapping in. If you want to get into business, reach out to someone who's done it, who's in the community. Reach out to a Black founder, reach out to a Black executive, reach out to a Black artist, reach out to someone who's doing it, because I promise you they're going to support you. So take advantage of it. You know, this is the whole point. We're all here to support one another. Reach out. That's a great way to build community and get ahead. Number 2 is lift up. All right. At every single opportunity you get, you should be taking a chance to support a Black founder, a Black business person, a Black artist. It doesn't matter. A Black teacher. Just lift each other up. Whether you know them or not, it doesn't matter. If you even just see a post on social media, just like it. Who cares if you know the person or not? We got to stick together. It's what we got. All right. And then number 3 is give back. Once you are in a position, make sure you're doing this type of stuff. Share your story. I would have gotten into business way sooner if I saw a Black dude in business or a Black woman in business on the cover of a magazine for being a successful founder. Okay. So I want to end it at that. At the end of the day, listen, life is not fair. All right. It's a tough life and it's not going to change anytime soon. It would be amazing if we were in a situation where we could just wave our hand and racism went away. Or if we could, you know, erase stereotypes from memory. But the reality is it's not going to happen anytime soon. So we need to be better. And we already are better, because just by being us and just by living our lives, we are better equipped to deal with challenges. And that means the people we are going up against, yes, they had doors opened for them, but inevitably we will end up in the same room. And what's going to happen is the person who had all the doors open for them going up against you, who had to fight to get there through every single possible no, who you think's coming out on top? So I want to leave that with you guys. You have an amazing day of programming put. If you guys want to connect with me, my Instagram is darkmark, DARKMARC_. Quick little story about that. When I was in high school, as you can imagine, being the only Black kid, Dark Mark wasn't a name I chose for myself. It was a name they gave me to make fun of me in grade 9 and 10. However, by the time things started turning around for me in grade 11 and 12, and I started being the one hosting the parties, and I started being the ones getting the good grades, and I started being the one playing football, Dark Mark didn't become something to make fun of me about anymore. I was Dark Mark because there were so many Marks in the town, but everybody needed to know who Dark Mark was because people were talking about me, and it wasn't bad things. And I always promised myself that I was going to keep that name. That's why my email is Dark Mark, my Instagram is Dark Mark, and any handle I can get is going to be Dark Mark, because when people from that town who used to make fun of me for being Dark Mark now see me rolling around in a $250,000 car and on the cover of magazines, I want them to realize that I'm Dark Mark, the kid they used to make fun of. So I want all of you guys to have an amazing day today. I thank you guys so much for having me come out. I wish I could have been there with you in person, but please connect with me online. I'm excited for your day. And that's it.
All right, let us do a proper introduction. Reggae royalty here at the CCAWR Black History Month launch. Jimmy Reed, give it up!
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for some reggae music out of Jamaica? Come on! Okay. Yeah. When the sun goes down and we move around, I will call on you. When the sun goes down and we move around, I will call on you. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I will call on you. Don't cry, my brother, cry. No sign, no. No time to lose, time to lose, 'cause we must go through. Come on now. I want you to see your dance, dancing. Yeah. When the sun goes down and we move around, I will call on you. When the sun goes down and we move around, I will call on you. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I will call on you. No cry, my brother, crying. No sigh, no sigh. No time to lose, time to lose. 'Cause we must go through. Yes, we must. Yeah, we must go through. We must go through. Hey. Yes, we must. We must go through. We Come on now. We must have it up. Come on, I want to hear you. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear you. Run the truck, right, tell them.
Come on in. Come on.
Yeah.
Come closer. Feel the energy. Bring it in. Can I ask the audience? Come in. Come through. Come in and have a little reggae dance with us. Come through. Come through.
Darling, give me another try. I'll make you satisfied. Come on. Come back, darling, give me another try. I'll make you satisfied. I need your love, I need God. You build my heart so bad. I need your love like the sun needs the rain. Why must I die in the day? Come back, darling, give me another try. Woo! I'll make you satisfied. One more time. Hey, hey, hey. Come back, darling, give me another try. I'll make you satisfied. Run it from me now. Hey. the sun leaves the rain. Why must I die today? Come back, darling, give me another try. I'll make you satisfied. Hey, come on. Come back, darling, give me another try. I'll make you satisfied. Sing with me now. Hey, come.
Give me another try.
Sing for me, ladies and gentlemen. Come on.
I'll make you satisfied.
Can I get on sing now? Hey, hey, hey.
Come back, darling. Give me another try. I'll make you satisfied.
Yeah.
Give me another try. I'll make you satisfied.
Cut it up. Cut it. Cut it. Cut it.
Come back,
Darling, give me another try. Hold on, what happened? Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Listen, listen. This is Sunday, and we're having a good time on a Sunday. And most of us is going to work on Monday. So how you feel about that? How you feel about going to work? Run the truck for me, sir. Run the truck. Yes, my brother, run the truck. Hey! Woo! This Monday morning feeling is driving me out of my mind.
Monday morning feeling. Monday morning feeling.
Monday morning feeling really get me down on
Monday
line.
morning feeling. Monday morning feeling.
But if I didn't work hard, I wouldn't have a cent. To take care of my children, I could not pay my rent. The way things are expensive, can't afford to eat or drink. Oh, boy. Hey. This Monday morning feeling is driving me out of my mind.
Morning feeling.
Monday
Morning feeling.
and Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, boy, this morning feeling seems to linger on.
Morning feeling. Monday morning feeling.
The best day of the week is Friday when you're paid. Saturday you go shopping, Sunday you lay there in bed. Then Monday morning come again, it makes me feel so sad. Whoa, boy. at work and sometimes we want to sleep in and all them things. But you have to go. So it's driving us. Alright? Run another track for me, sir. Run this track.
Thank you. What we have with you is called a djembe drum. And the djembe drum is native to West Africa where I was born. And I'm going to show us quickly how to sit down to play our djembe drum. And I'll be calling on this fine lady here to do that for us. Yeah, because you're doing it the right way. Please come with a chair.
With the chair?
Yeah. You show us how to sit down to play the djembe drum. Thank you. Please sit down. And I want you to watch carefully how she will sit. Number one, if you are a child, don't bother doing this unless your feet can touch the floor. Because your feet have to touch the floor to make any difference, okay? Feet on the floor, drum between your knees, and they're going to cross your knees this way. Yeah, to secure it. And like I said, if your feet cannot touch the floor, don't do it unless you're an adult. So, that is the posture for your djembe drum. Very good. Can someone please help me give the very beautiful young lady a big round of applause? Thank you very much. Now you can go sit down. Yeah. So, what you have with you is called a djembe drum. Say djembe. Now, most of our kids are fond of referring to the drum as bongos. They're not bongos. They're called djembe drums, okay? And the djembe drum is native to West Africa, where I was born, like I said before. When we're happy, we drum. When we're sad, we drum. When a baby is born, we drum. When someone dies, we drum. Someone gets married, we play the djembe drum. Today, I'll show us how to play this drum. Number one, the first sound, who's doing that? We're not drumming yet. Okay, number one, we're going to play the bass, which is the first note on the djembe drum. The bass is played in the middle of your drum. So I want your hands up. You play for me in the middle after the count of 2. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, bass 1, 2, and 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 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, rumble! Excellent. Next, you're going to play for me what we call the tone. The tone is played at the edge of your drum. 2 hands up. Your hands will calm down slowly. And we're going to go tone, tone. Now we have the 2 notes we need to make a rhythm on the djembe drum, the bass and the tone. And we're going to go bass, 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 and tone. Bass in the middle, tone by the side. Bass, 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 and tone. Long before we had cell phones and iPhones, and long before we had walkie-talkies and stuff, we had the drums, which was used as a means of non-verbal communication. We call this the talking drum. We could talk on the drum just the way we talk on a phone. We could communicate. Now, I'm going to teach us an aspect of the talking drum, which is listening. Because the best drummers are always the best listeners. So whatever I play on my drum, I want you to repeat. Like I said, this segment is a listening exercise, okay? Whatever I play, you're going to play after me. beat. 1, 2, is the bass sound. And 1, 2, is 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. 1, 2, is 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2. Small things. Bass, bass. Bass, bass. Bass, bass. Bass, bass. Now put the tone. Bass, bass. Put the tone. Very good. Now we do understand how we use the bass and the tone in drumming. The next thing we'll be doing now will be for me to show you how to make rhythms on the djembe drum. Way back in ancient times, we never had to write music or didn't even know how to write music, in a scientific and musical pedagogic way. But we do have a way to teach in a very practical sense. We use phrases to teach drum rhythms, and I'll show you. It's called phrasal drumming. I'll give you a phrase. I love peanut butter. I love jam. Now I'll break down that phrase into syllables. I love peanut butter. I love jam. Then apply the phrase to your djembe drum. I love peanut butter. I love jam. Go. I love fries. I love chicken nuggets. I love fries. Come on. You love chicken nuggets. You love fries. I love We call these phrasal drumming. It is the easiest way to learn to play rhythms in the world. I love. We don't have to use English to make our rhythms. We can use any other language to make up our rhythm. And so we'll be using French this time around. In French, we say, I love the djembe. And it sounds like this. J'aime la djembe, j'aime la djembe, j'aime. one more drumming phrase. This one says, watermelon, watermelon, apple pie. Watermelon, watermelon, apple pie. Go. So we do understand phrasal drumming, how we can convert your phrases into drum rhythms. Next thing we'll be doing now will be for us to make it more practical. And I call the last segment we'll be having in this drumming workshop, I call it djembe applications in contemporary music. And I teach this every single day of my life, from universities to elementary school to high schools. So what you're getting from me right now is what I do academically for students every day. So I'll give you a little bit of story. In 2010, we had the World Cup in South Africa, okay, in Africa. And they asked Shakira to do a theme song for the event. And she came up with a song called Waka Waka, which was not really a new song to us in Africa. But anyway, she claimed to compose the song, and it was really, really good. And then she had a big concert in Johannesburg Stadium, and she had about 100 djembe drums like this at that event. Now, I'm going to teach us how, what she did, or I'm going to reenact what she did at the stadium in Johannesburg. We'll be doing a song together called Waka Waka, and we'll be playing the djembe drum for that particular song. So I'm going to teach us 4 separate rhythms to accompany the song. The first rhythm or the first phrase says, wait for it, love my mommy. Love my mommy, love my mommy. Come on, love your mommy. Number 2 phrase or rhythm says, it's a lovely day. It's a lovely day. It's a lovely day. Third one says, love it, love it, love it, love it. And the last one is a little bit long. It says, watch me playing on my drums. Look at me, do I look so good? Watch me playing on the drums. Look at me, do I look so good?
Beautiful. So my name is Laura May Lindo. I'm a former member of Provincial Parliament for Kitchener Centre and currently an assistant professor at the University of Waterloo in the philosophy department. But most importantly, I am a Black woman in Waterloo Region celebrating Black History Month with all of you. And so what I'd like to do is introduce some of the Black elected officials and political leaders in our community. It's so very important for us to ensure that even as we celebrate, we talk about the ways in which community can access political representation to change some of these systems. And so it's just going to be a little conversation. I will get you to start by introducing yourself, and then we'll pass it on over, and then I'll get some questions going.
Thank you so much, Laura May. My name is Hans Roach, and I'm a city councillor here in Waterloo. And I've lived here in the region for over 50 years, and I've seen so much change over the 50 years that I've been here. And I'm really proud to be here with my esteemed elected colleagues here. I'm really hopeful and really looking forward to anticipating to their story. So I am really happy to be here, and let me put it off to Meredith.
Hello everyone, my name is Meredith Radlin, and I'm a trustee with the Waterloo Region District School Board. So I come to this position having lived in the community for 35 plus years, but also having spent my career with the school board, and now I'm there as a trustee, and it's a position that I'm hoping is going to be able to make a difference to the community of Waterloo Region, which a few months ago was declared, I think the city of Kitchener was said to be the most diverse city in Canada.
Hi, everyone. Oh, hello. Did not realize I'm that loud. You know, funny, in church this morning, my wife said, "You don't know how to whisper." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I just remember that. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Aya Owoduni, City of Kitchener, City Councillor for the City of Kitchener, Ward 5. I moved to Canada in 2016, so I've been in Canada for 7 years now. And yes, I've been a city councilor for about a year, and I'll say about 4 or 5 months now. So excited to be a part of this panel. I feel it's an honor to be here. This is something that in my wildest dreams I didn't realize would even come true, and here we are today. So excited to be a part of the conversation today.
Beautiful. So, my first question is kind of a personal question, and just for anybody who's watching, I did not tell anybody what my questions were, so this is going to be a surprise. So, a lot of times when we are elected, and especially like Colleen, for instance, is the first Black woman to be elected to regional council, right? And when we are stepping into these roles, when we're a first or there are not very many Black people, we often have dreams for the community that we hope we can fulfill through these elected roles. And so I'm wondering if we could take a second to share one of the biggest dreams that we had stepping into that elected role, how we thought we'd be able to support the Black communities in Waterloo Region. So why don't we start? I'm going to mess with everything. I keep looking at you so you think you're going to start, but nope. We're going with Io.
Yeah, a big dream for me was I wanted a situation where children could see someone that looked like them, sound like them, and have a sense of, I can do this as well. In fact, 2 weeks ago, my son, who was 8 years old, asked for a phone. And I said, no, you're not getting a phone till you're way into your teenage years. And the conversation started, and it came to being responsible. You know, you're gonna have to show that you're responsible. And then he goes, responsible? I know the mayor, and the mayor is my friend. Of course I'm responsible. And I thought it was the funniest thing that an 8-year-old would say such a thing to me. But for me, more importantly, that mindset of he can walk into city hall, he knows the leaders, He has conversations with the counselors. He has a conversation with the mayor. He doesn't see it as a big deal anymore. It just sees it as something that, oh, it's just the mayor. And I thought that was, on one hand, funny, but also inspiring, that hopefully this dream can come to reality where other children can say, hey, I see these individuals. If I choose to go in that direction, I can do the same thing. That's number one for me. Number two, I'm an immigrant. I went through the tough, transition into the Canadian system. And like many immigrants that come in, I still hear the stories. I teach at Conestoga, so I hear the stories from the students regularly. My hope is we can build a community where these individuals can come in with their unique talents and skills and be able to use it here. The contractor that's doing work in my house right now told me he used to be a pilot, in his previous country, and here he is. He's a contractor now. Yes, we gained a contractor, but we lost the pilot. And I've heard many stories of doctors and so many amazing set of people with so many skills, and saw Canada as a great place to come. But somehow, some way, they lost that dream in the process, and they had to face reality and make changes. So we've lost something in that process, and I'm hoping that that's something that, as time goes on, you come in with your skills and talents. We need that, whether it is entertainment, whether it's you being a doctor or with academics, or whether it is you want to run your own business. Like those things, we're able to set up a system for people to be able to integrate seamlessly into our society and know that they're needed and they're valued. Sorry for my long answer.
Oh, that was fantastic.
It was a great answer. So for me, I spent my career teaching in the school board, and I was also, and continue to be, very involved in community. And so for me, moving to Canada was an education in terms of systems. So you're in the education system, or there is the nonprofit system, or there is the municipal system. And I have seen in my years of teaching and community involvement how challenging it is for people who are not familiar with these systems to know how to have their needs met, to know how to be proactive in accessing opportunities that are there for them, to know how to use the structures that exist to build success for their families. And so my main dream going into this, the only reason I went into this, was because I am hoping that there is some way that I'm going to be able to improve communication with the community, to empower families, to help families learn how to advocate for their children. What is the process? Who do you approach? How do you reach out? What is it that you need to do to create success in an environment that is not familiar and that may feel hostile? Because the reality is many of the people who are struggling in these systems find these systems to be hostile. Hostile sometimes because of race, but sometimes hostile because, it can be social class or other things. I know many parents who did not have a good experiences, for example, in school, who feel powerless in terms of advocating for their children. So that is my dream, that I will make some difference in helping communities to become more confident and comfortable in accessing the supports that are there for them and their families.
Great answers. The original question, what was your dream? And I maybe have a little bit different perspective than my two colleagues up here. I grew up here in Waterloo region. I've been here since the mid-'60s. So I have really seen the change in Waterloo. And, you know, it's eye-opening that there's a big change, but it's also eye-opening that there isn't much change. There are things that have not changed, believe it or not. And once I decided to basically retire from the private sector and get into to politics, I was also a trustee at the school board, at the Catholic school board. And while I was there, I saw you know, an opportunity for change, but there wasn't much. If you could believe it, at the Catholic school board in Kitchener, Waterloo, in Cambridge, in the high schools, not one single principal, vice principal, program director was a person of color. And this is in 2022 in the Catholic school board high school. So, you know, it's eye-opening how things have changed, but it's also eye-opening that things have not changed. And my dream was to, you know, somehow get involved with the school board to maybe perhaps, you know, if we ever did happen to look for a new director of education, which we eventually did, that I could have a role in his interview process or recruitment, which I'm proud to say I did have a role in our great new director of education, Tyrone Ballin. I also wanted to just, as I had mentioned earlier, you know, there's not a lot of people that look like us in these elected positions, and I've been a coach. I've been, you know, president of a large athletic association, and I really want people to, you know, that whole saying of, you know, you gotta, you know, see it to be it. I really want it to go that way. I don't want people to look at people like us and think that we're just, you know, we're entertainers and athletes. And that's sort of the way it has been in the past. So my dream is to be more inclusive and to let people know that they can be teachers, doctors, lawyers, principals of the high school, you know, and such, and politicians perhaps.
Thank you so much for that. It actually leads to my other question. So when we do the work as in these elected roles, we're inside the system. And so the community outside doesn't always know how to access us or have an understanding of some of the work that we're doing sort of behind the scenes to try and better support Black communities. And so I'm curious if you would be willing to share, and this time I will start with you, but I'm curious to know if you'd be willing to share an example of something that you have done behind the scenes that you know will better support Black community members, and that you just want them to know about. And it may not be that the thing that you've created was only for Black communities, but that it's something that our communities just may not know that they can access, and that you feel really proud that you've been a part of.
The great question. And I live in a very diverse ward in Waterloo. It may be one of the most diverse areas in Kitchener-Waterloo. It's Ward 3, and that includes a great neighborhood, like neighborhoods from Lakeshore to Conservation Meadows to Sunnydale. It's a fantastic neighborhood. And when I ran for office, my whole, I guess, platform was just to be the voice of the people. And I think what really helped Laura May is to be out there.
Yeah.
You can't just sit behind your computer and your social media. You really had to be out there. So, you know, I think that just my presence, even before I even decided to run for office, just the person that I am, just being in the community, working with, could be the food bank, it could be with, you know, we brought sports and athletics. As president of Waterloo Minor Hockey, one of my major goals was to bring hockey to new Canadians.
Wow.
So we would bring hockey sticks and nets into, let's say, the Sunnydale neighborhood and have them play with us. So, you know, just being involved and being present, it lets them feel comfortable to come up to you and ask, you know, hey, what's going on? Is there, you know, are there other programs going on? Their parents would ask, my son needs some tutoring. Do we have tutoring programs? And just going from there. So I wasn't even thinking of running for office at the time, but I realized that actually my wife had said, you do have quite an impact on community. If you're thinking of leaving, the medical field, why not go in for politics?
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Meredith, did you want to jump in?
Sure. So I think what I've been doing behind the scenes that is really important and was one of my goals when I decided to run was connecting with community. So our board, part of the strategic plan is community engagement, and that can mean something and it can mean nothing. So, you can have the words community engagement, but what does that mean? So one of the things that has been happening is that we have a very active and strong equity department, and so I have been working with them, but also with senior administration. So the leadership team, which is the director, the 2 associate directors, and the executive officer, connecting with community. So sharing names of community leaders, sharing names of community organizations, and helping in the organization of community conversations. So, for example, the school board has had conversations with different communities. It has had conversations with the Muslim community, with the Jewish community, with the Somali community. It's looking to go into community centers and that kind of thing. And that I think it's really important. We have just started. We have a long way to go. But I think as the region becomes more diverse, needs become greater, money becomes scarcer, you really need that personal connection so that whatever we do, we are as effective as we can be, because we need to hear from the people who are the students, who are the families. What do their children need? What are we not doing well? What are we doing well? So that we can maximize the use of resources and make school a positive learning environment for every child.
So for me, I want to start with that whole intersectionality, immigrants, black individuals that have moved into city of Kitchener. I think one thing that I've noticed, as I mentioned earlier, we tend to lose talent and skills when people integrate into the system. So there's a comedian who was a well-known comedian back in his country, has moved to Canada, moved to this area, but now he is also, interestingly, a contractor. So here we are, we're losing this talent because these individuals have faced the reality that they need to survive in Canada, and whatever livelihood that they had in their previous country, they can't live that when they come here. So one thing that, oh, by the way, not many people know this, there is a Nigerian movie director who has had one of her movies at TIFF and has won many awards that lives in Kitchener as well. But not many people know that. So I've had a chance to meet with her and meet with several other immigrants who are very well talented in their fields. And I'm connecting them with our director of entertainments. Meetings have started to happen to start talking about how can we help our talented individuals coming in to be able to hone their talents, continue to grow in their talents, and be able to call this place home so we can all benefit from that talent rather than losing the talent simply because they want to live in Canada. You desiring to come here does not mean you need to lose a crucial part of your skill set. So there's a book around asset-based community development that talks about each individual has a bunch of gifts. You know, gift of the heart, gift of the hands. I forgot what the other one is, so if anyone knows, let me know. But really powerful. All right, Dorothy's the head, right? Thank you, Dorothy. It was gift of the heart, gift of the head, gift of the hand as well. And we don't realize that as people are coming in, we're losing a lot of that. So our director of entertainment, we had like a long conversation. I took him to a Nigerian restaurant. He had some jollof rice, and we sat down and we really talked about, we need to ensure as immigrants are coming in, singers and artists, how do we help them? How do we get them going again? We shouldn't lose that entertainment piece of things because they're coming here. So that's one, and apparently Liftoff is going to be helping us with those conversations. So the community engagement personnel from Liftoff is going to be having a meeting, bringing local black talent together, and this director of entertainment, hopefully they can reach out to the other ones from different cities and talk about, okay, how can we support you to get you up and running? So 5 years from now, you're independent of us and you're able to do your own thing. So for me, that brings a lot of joy to my heart, because the number of people that I've met that just have these gifts that are losing it silently and quietly. We talk about all the other areas, but those gifts that bring us joy and happiness as a people, we could end up losing them. Last year, a Nigerian comedian had an event in Kitchener. It was at a Portuguese club, so I thought that was interesting. Celebrating diversity. A Nigerian comedian at a Portuguese club.
Got it.
The mayor of Kitchener, who is Croatian, am I correct? Okay, Croatian, was at the event. Half the time I'm translating the jokes to him. You know, there were Ethiopians in the room, and there were several other people in the room, and there was this strange community. And for me, it was like this little, it was like Kitchener in its little form, all that diversity in one place. But here's an individual who's refusing to let go of his talents. He reached out to me, and I said, let's see what we can do. Let's work together to make something happen. We drove to several businesses in Kitchener asking for support, just using my name to get in, to get the support that he needed, because he didn't have any money. But he was able to get the hall, get the support, and here we are in a room of 100+ immigrants sitting and laughing and having a good time. More importantly, there's a comedian that believes that he can come here and add value in this community with his talent. For me, that is just a big deal, and I thought it was a wonderful thing to celebrate as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So my next question, and we're nearly done. So typically when we're on a panel like this, you have to ask that question. What is one of the biggest obstacles that you faced, and have you navigated through that obstacle, etc.? But clearly I like to mess with things. So here's how I'd like us to think about this. What is an obstacle that arose when you ended up in this public role that surprised you and taught you that there's some information about the systems that our communities may not know about? So I'll try and explain it with an example, just to clarify. When I was elected, and not having ever been elected before, I didn't actually know who people called if they had particular problems, because I had always seen politics as completely separate from me. So I would never call an MPP's office to ask them a question. But apparently, a lot of people know that you're supposed to call an MPP's office when you have particular issues. But our community doesn't necessarily know that. And so what's one obstacle that you realize now, if they just had the information, we would be able to navigate that system better? But I never would have known that unless I was actually in this role in public office. And since I keep looking at everyone, now nobody's looking at me, we'll start with Maida.
Laura May is funny. You know, I see my job as a little different from city councillors, because I'm there for students, for the little ones who really very often don't have much choice. And so it's for us adults to frame an environment and an experience that lifts them up and helps them to be who they want to be. I think what I see as one of the biggest barriers for the community, the black community, and the newcomer community, I'm going to just say ignorance. How do you access what you want to know? Who is a superintendent? What does a superintendent do? Director, what's that? We certainly, when I think of the school system I went to in Jamaica, we had teachers and we called the principal the headmistress or the headmaster. But here you have teachers, you have consultants, you have resource people, you have the superintendent, you have all manner of, you have social agencies. So I find ignorance, or maybe I should say a lack of awareness of how it is you advocate and access supports for your students. And at this time when funding is a challenge for every organization, you really need to be aware of what the process is. Because you can go into an office, you can be frustrated, you can be angry, you can lose your temper with the teacher, the principal, whoever. That's not doing anything for your child. That's not helping your child to get what they need. That's not creating any success. So this idea of communicating, this idea of helping people to become familiar with the process, to be aware that there's a process, and to become aware of how it is you reach out and get the help and information that you need. That, to me, is huge. And because I worked in the system, I think I'd forgotten how intimidating it can be to someone who is not part of it, someone who has never had to deal with that kind of structure before. It's intimidating, it can be overwhelming, and what it does is it silences a lot of our families, and that disadvantages the child because they're not aware that there is something they can do when they're looking for help.
Thank you so much for that. Ayo?
Okay, so first of all, we have something called the Rise Fund. I don't think many people know about it. And over $250,000 has been provided to members of the black community. So please, if you live in the city of Kitchener, learn more about that. We have our Love My Hood grant where you can get money as well to be able to do all sorts of things to be able to improve your community. I find, quite interestingly, not many people are even aware of that when I bring it up. That was just a public service announcement. So the first thing, I can usually tell when an immigrant is sending me an email. It starts with, "Dear Sir," "Hello, sir." It's great to, you are blessed, sir. How are things going? I know when other people in Ward 5, they put "Ayo," comma, they go right to the point. And the mindset is different. For one, you are there to represent me. Here's my problem. Go fix it now. For another, it's like, "I humbly come before you, sir." And if you, by any chance, can think about my problem, I'm even grateful for that. And it made me go back to life back in Nigeria. And I think many people have been traumatized by the political experiences that they've been through. I grew up during the military regime in Nigeria. It went from a military into democracy in 1999, but even at that level, there was still a lot of oppression in many ways of the people. So when you leave that, just because you left the system doesn't mean the system left you. People are shocked that I walk around without security guards, and I get asked that many times, like, how do you walk around without security guards? Without people with guns pushing people away. And when you have that mindset, you don't feel free to reach out to the politician to share your thoughts and your concerns. So my goal is how can I stay as regular as possible, be in the community as possible, and have conversations with people as easy as possible, so they don't see us as high and mighty, but they see us as public servants. We don't complain that often. Right? Maybe that's the wrong way to put it. We don't know the right way to complain. Something that I've learned in my year in council now, your email and your complaint is data. Is data that can be tracked, is data that can be allocated into some sort of category that over time, when it comes up repeatedly, could be looked at as this is something that we need to pay attention to. So someone comes to me and I say, great, send me an email. They're angry about it. And I'm like, no, because that data needs to be tracked. Because when I get it, I can forward it to staff and forward it to the CAO. So anytime it is brought up later on, they can go back to the data point. When surveys is done, I don't know, by the way, who we send all our surveys to. But apparently we always have like 1,000 or 3,000 people fill it out. I don't know if our community members are aware of these surveys. And these surveys determine the trajectory of what we do. So just those little things that could help provide influence over time, people are not aware of it. And we don't know those practices, whereas our counterparts and other people that live in my ward, they're very aware of this. So they send me emails officially. Yep. And once it's forwarded, it can be seen as and tracked as data. So I would say those are things we can do better.
Thank you. Just going back to Io's book, Gift of the Heart and Gift of the Hands and Gift of the Head. Us politicians, we also have Gift of the Gab. And there's a lot that we can speak to. But anyway, I know we're almost done, and I just wanted to and I will answer the question. But talking about dreams, and I think what I really like is that perhaps my journey will inspire others like me to get involved in civic engagement. That is my real dream. Diversity among leadership is so important. It really helps us make a more comprehensive decisions with regard to our community, and I think that's so important. But getting back to and I'm going to maybe twist it around a little bit about the hurdles or whatever, and this is being run by Run for Office, and maybe I'll just talk about the hurdles as a person running for office, and something that I wasn't aware of, and that there's a cost to run for office, and that may be a hurdle or a burden for others who think that they may want to run for office. That you put a little bit of money up to run for office. You need to maybe have a website. You need to make you need a few $1,000s to run for office, and that is a hurdle. And perhaps organizations that we have here that can really, or that I would mention, that can really help us, that maybe are not as fortunate financially to help us run for office. So that's my dream.
Beautiful. Well, listen, as we are wrapping up this discussion, and here we are, this is a lot of Black folks that are elected in this region. Like, honest to goodness, I'm just going to take a moment because it's Black History Month and I can do whatever I want. That's what it means, right? No? Not part of the policy? So what I was thinking was this. To wrap it up, I think that each one of us should take a minute, reintroduce ourselves, what the area is or who it is that we represent, and send a nice message to Black community members for Black History Month, just to let them know that we are out there representing them in this important capacity. It's actually quite rare that you have this many Black folks that are elected in various levels of public office, and I think it's really important for us to have a record of this moment in history. So we can start over here. I don't get to go. It was a long time ago. If this had happened last year, then I'd be able to.
I think we could learn a lot from what you have to say here. I think I'd like to just end by reiterating what I had been saying all along, is that I really want to see change in Waterloo region, and positive change. And what we had 50 years ago really hasn't changed much to what we have today. We have, as you mentioned, we have a few more people elected, but that's not enough, really. We need more people involved as well. You know, just before this panel, there was another panel with youth, and something that I noticed, it was an excellent panel on youth and engagement, but it was all women, all young women. The one moderator was a young black man, but I'm involved in a mentoring project, and it just seems that it's women that are really involved, and we need to find ways to get young black men involved. And I'm speaking with a few of our people here, and just to help facilitate that, but I think that's a big hurdle, and I want anyone who's watching this on YouTube to feel free to reach out to me. Send me an email, give me a phone call. If you see me on the street, I'm not hard to miss. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
So I'm Edith Radlin, and I'm a trustee for Kitchener with the Waterloo Region School Board, and I'm also vice chair of the board. And I would like to say, please use me. I really would like to feel, I would like every day to get so many phone calls that I don't know what to do with myself. And I really look forward to the day when we as a community feel we have a voice, that we can stand up and speak for our children, that we can stand up and speak on issues that concern us. So it may be you stand up by sending an email to Hans or to Ayo, but I dream of the day when our voices are heard, and our voices are heard on everything, not just on issues of race or equity, but our voices are heard at the school board, our voices are heard in city council, in regional council, in Queen's Park and Ottawa. So my dream is for us to get to the point where we are comfortable enough to lift up our voices and speak for ourselves and our children.
My name is Ayo Owoduni. Ayo means joy, Owo means money, Duni means good to have. So you can put all that together. No, it's real. I'm a city councilor in the city of Kitchener, Southwest Kitchener, an area that is growing on a regular basis. I want to speak to the blacks in the community, the immigrants in the community, and I want to remind you that you matter. And your dreams matter. And many times when I speak with immigrants, a question I tend to ask is, when did you leave your dream behind? Because usually at some point, as you go through the struggle and the integration, we somehow, some way drop the dream in exchange for survival. And we need you to pick up that dream again. We need you to stand up. We need you to rise, because you matter. I have no idea what camera I'm looking at, because there are like 3-4 cameras looking at me. You matter. Your voice matters. Your gifts matter. Your talents matter. Canada needs you. We need you. We need you to step up. We need you to rise up. We need you to be resilient. And we need you to keep going, because our children will look back in the future, and they will read our stories, and they will hear your stories, and they will see you as their hero. So as you push through today, remember, you are writing a story that will be read in the future, and you are a hero being created for someone's story. So thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure being here with you.
Yay. Thank you.
Whoa, 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 whoa. All right. See, one of the little people paying attention. So, can you? Yeah, she's great. She's fabulous.
Yeah, that's true. Yours is on. Do you want it on? Yeah, good. What is this?
Thank you.
I want to thank our panelists this afternoon. That videotape is really going to get used on YouTube if I have anything to do with it. I'm absolutely delighted. My name is Marcia Smelly, and I'm a member of Run for Office. I'm here along with our student intern, Cabell, for the summer, who was with us for the summer, who's still volunteering with us. I think she loved being with us that much. That's why she's still volunteering. But first of all, I want to say thank you to these 4 fabulous individuals who are members of our community, who are sharing their skills, their talents, their gifts, and their heart in their roles. And that's what we need. We need people with skills, talent, but above all, heart. And we've got that right here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The book that you've received is about Howard McCurdy, who is one of Ontario's first black MPPs. And he wasn't just an MPP, he was a scientist, he was a father, he was a community leader, and he was an advocate. And his story was completed, I believe, last year. So we thought it would be an ideal gift for the 4 of you. So I hope you enjoy it and that you share it. Share the knowledge that you find there with others that you encounter in your days. So thank you, thank you, thank you very much.